Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games. I'm your host, Mehmet Sanchez, and today we have an extraordinary guest whose legacy is etched in Cotulla football history. Joining us is Coach Marcus Booker, who served as my football coach and athletic director during my high school years from 2005 to 2009. Coach Booker's journey is one of resilience, leadership, and success. Born in Seoul, South Korea, and raised in Washington, D.C., Coach Booker eventually made his way to Texas, where he played and won a state championship at Judson High School. After college at Southwest Texas University, he returned to Judson as a coach, winning 3 more state championships between 1992 and 1996. In 2002, Coach Booker became the athletic director and head football coach for the Cotulla Cowboys. Under his guidance, the Cowboys experienced incredible success, highlighted by the unforgettable 2006 football season, where the team made it all the way to the state semifinals, the longest playoff run in Cotulla history. To this day, Coach Booker is considered Cotulla's winningest football coach. We'll hear about his journey, his coaching philosophy, and the memories that have shaped him as a leader. Let's welcome Coach Marcus Booker.
Thank you for having me.
There you go, Coach. So, Coach Booker, how have things been going for you?
They're okay. Can't complain too much.
Absolutely. So, if you let's get started with questions. If you don't mind me bombarding you with some.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So, Coach Booker, I appreciate you joining and making some time, to be here on this podcast. I know several people have been looking forward to it, aside from myself. Let's start from the beginning. You were born in Seoul, South Korea, a long way from here.
My dad was Air Force, that's why.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you spent much of your childhood in Washington, D.C. before moving to Texas in 1983. What was the transition like for you, and how did football become a significant part of your life?
It was so crazy. When I was in Washington, D.C., in my junior high, they didn't even have football. All the boys could play was basketball and softball. So I never played football until I moved to Texas my sophomore year. But I was glad I came to Texas because I honestly think Washington, D.C. was a little rougher, and I don't think I'd have been a coach. I might have been a bad kid.
No, man. So, that's strange to hear because, football, you kind of hear football is the way of life in Texas.
Well, it was when I moved to Texas. It definitely was. It was good for me.
And then of all places, Judson. Back then, Judson was the powerhouse, in the area.
I got a funny story for that. The guy who was showing us houses, he was from Judson District. He showed us a house in Madison that we really liked. But then he's like, I don't want you to go to Madison. So he showed us a couple more houses in Judson District. And we ended up liking that one because I ain't going to lie, because the guy said there was 2 high school girls that lived next door. So I was like, let's move here.
Convinced your dad to pick that house, huh?
Yeah, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad it brought you this way. I know you made a big impact here in Cotulla. So, winning championships at Judson High School. You were part of a state championship team at Judson High School, and then you returned as a coach, winning 3 more titles between 92 and 96. Can you share what it was like to be part of such a winning culture, both as a player and a coach?
Or be honest, as a player, you don't really, appreciate it until you get older. My sophomore year, I just moved to Judson, so I didn't know very many people. And they had a great team, and I ended up just being a practice dummy, but I got to practice 16 weeks and be a part of that team. That was great. I didn't know how much hard work they put into it but I tell you, it was great for my coaching career because my first 4 years, we made it to the semifinals, the finals 3 years, and then basketball made it to the state finals my first 2 years. So I thought coaching was all year long. I didn't think coaching got a break because I coached from, I think, August till March straight.
Wow.
So it was great for me. It gave me great work habits. I'm not gonna lie, these younger coaches now, they don't work. They think they work hard, but they don't work very hard.
So times have changed in your eyes.
Definitely. We used to paint bleachers in summertime.
Ooh.
Matter of fact, when I first got the job at Cotulla, I painted all the bathrooms because they were nasty. Matter of fact, they finally got rid of that black tile that was always in the gym. I laid that myself.
In the high school gym?
In the high school gym, that tile, I laid it myself in the front. Because I wanted us to be more presentable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh man, that's different kind of work that coaches are used to.
Well, yeah, I remember a board member coming. You've never met me. I said, well, you can find me because I'm working in the gym. I said, I ain't got time to meet nobody.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, in 2002, you became Cotulla's athletic director and head football coach. What drew you to Cotulla, and how did you approach to building the program?
Oh, what drew me to Cotulla is I was an assistant coach in 1998 and 1999, and I loved it. I knew they had a lot of talent here. So I said, first chance I get, I'm going to come back. Because I know there's always going to be some speed. Not to mention these kids are tough as nails. I was just telling Memmy his story about Lonnie Tejas, his sophomore year. He broke his wrist and came to me. He was like, Coach, you need me to run the play for you. I'm like, no, you need to get out. He goes, but I'll run the play. That's when I knew these kids were too tough for their own good. As a coach, you have to be smarter for them because they'll kill themselves for you.
Yeah, that we will. I mean, it's just I think it's just a respect thing. You know, your coach goes to war for you. You want to go to war for them.
And they definitely do. And I always appreciated the Cotulla kids. I always said if there was 26 kids versus 26, I'll take Cotulla any day.
Yes, sir. And I remember that being one of your quotes every time. You know, it was always definitely some motivation on our end.
Well, that's because sometimes when people tell you you're not very good, they'd always browbeat Cotulla this. I had to build them back up, and because they were special, they just didn't know how special they were.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, whenever you were 98, 99, who was the head coach?
His name was Pat Ward.
I've heard a lot of stories about Coach Ward.
And if they're bad, they're probably true.
I think it was his lifting philosophy where can't remember who told me, but it was if you can't lift it, add more weight.
Yeah, he was strange. He knew his football. He just didn't know how to treat people. But he knew how to play football. He knew his football stuff.
That was the other thing, you know, that he was a real hard-nosed, tough coach.
He was very tough. He would do anything to win. Cheat if he had to. I don't believe in that, though.
Yeah, there's some moral ethics that you got to bring along with you.
There's a right way to win and a wrong way to win.
Yes, sir.
And I hate to say it, being a part of Judson, that did help me. Because my sophomore year through senior year, I lost 3 games. My first year of college, we lost 5. And I could see the differences. And it's little things, running off the field, hustling everywhere, just not talking back, listening to your coaches, doing the right thing in class. You have to do the right thing all the time. It's not a choice.
Yeah, and you saying that now, I mean, those were always your points of emphasis, you know, whenever I was in school, and it carried on to college, my work career, and even whenever I was coaching Pee Wee, it was a thing that, you know, I made a point. You know, that's just the way I was raised in Cotulla playing football, and it was just something, you know, it was just stuck in my brain. It's etched there for sure.
Well, one thing being a coach, I found out real early, you have a lot, I say, gravitational pull with the kids because they love football. So it's our job to teach them more and expect more out of them. So I always expected the best out of my kids because I knew Cotulla had the best in them. And if you have low expectations, they'll meet those. I want to have high expectations.
Yes, sir. So 2006 season was definitely a historic season for Cotulla football. And the Cotulla Cowboys making it all the way to the state semifinals. What made that team so special, and what do you remember the most about that playoff run?
Well, what made the team special is they cared about each other. They generally loved each other. You could tell. No one ever missed practice. They loved to practice. They just loved competition against each other. I can still remember Tuesdays we had live tackling. They're like, I got you today. They loved to be around each other. And they did things the right way. I mean, they might not have done it all that night, but they did right from wrong the majority of the time.
Yeah, and I specifically remember those practices because, you know, being on the JV, you know, you saw them and you wanted to be on that level of your work, you know, the work ethic. So, you know, it trickled down. It definitely trickled down to sophomore, you know, my sophomore year, to the freshmen, to even, I know, even the 7th and 8th grade, you know, boys, just seeing them and how big of dogs that they were on, you know, at practice, not just at games, but at practice.
Yes, that 2016 had a good group in front of them. Carlos Miranda's group, they were very talented, but they worked hard at practice. Fito Lumbreras, I think they showed those kids how to practice and why practice was important.
Yes, sir. So, again, it's just that waterfall effect. The current athletic director and head football coach played on that team as an offensive and defensive lineman. How does it feel to see your players you coach carrying on your legacy?
Well, I definitely like seeing him being the head coach. I just wish we did things better. I mean, I wish we acted better because it took a long time for Cotulla to get rid of a bad reputation. And it doesn't take long to get a bad reputation.
Yes, sir.
But one thing about I know my kids, they played hard. They were very respectful. They never talked back to anybody. And we always left the place cleaner than when we came.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you're here. What do you think about the facilities we have now compared to back then?
It's beautiful. They can't even believe when we used to live in the weight room that had no air conditioning.
Yeah, and the football field.
Oh my God, that last year that field was ridiculous. There was you could find patches of grass.
Those are always the favorite to land on.
Oh yeah, and then I feel bad for these kids. I don't think these kids appreciate what they have right now because this is a beautiful facilities now.
Yes, sir. I mean, even all the way up to the practice field. I mean, that the pit.
Well, I think that's what made it so tough because those stickers, you can see they'll be, I make them bear crawl and they get up just pulling stickers out. Never once complained though.
It was that red dirt down there. It was just hot. Man, I remember it being so hot, just that heat that was just bouncing off.
Oh yeah, it was funny. They always say your kids are so fast on fire. I said no, it's just not 100 degrees. That's all. We
Yeah,
practicing 100 degrees in the pit,
yeah.
so we
And
appreciated Friday nights.
how nice and cool with that shade.
And we would read our keys and we looked at the keys.
Yes, sir. That's for sure. I mean, the preparation was always there,
I
all
always thought
around.
our teams were very well coached. I had some good coaches that just didn't listen all the time, but they were good coaches.
Yes, sir. So, you're widely regarded as Cotulla's winningest football coach. Looking back, what do you think made your team so successful, and what lessons do you hope your players have taken from their time under your leadership?
Well, the reason I'm successful is because I had great kids. That's why, and I hope they just realize what I was trying to do, make them better men. Because I always said, if you have good men, you're going to win more games you're ever going to lose. I think Coach Garza says it best. When he's 6 years old, he wants to make sure that the kids aren't bad. And if he coaches them, he knows they're going to be good. And that's
Yes,
what I'm most proud of. I had special kids. I mean, it made my job easy. They just showed up and did what I asked. We were going to win.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it started on Saturdays, right after the football game. We were still being taught lessons, and even off season, 2-a-days. Uh, I mean, just anything in general. It wasn't just football as well. You were always pushing to continue to do other sports because it was going to help us out.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to say it. But I just remember Monday, he used to always say, Coach, why are you running so hard on Monday? Because I had to run the poison out of the kids. I know they don't always do the right things on weekends, but if you could last on Monday as much as I'm running, I wasn't going to give you any trouble. And I
Oh,
still remember a kid named John Cantu and Lupe Rodriguez. Lupe could never finish a running, and he would yell, and John would yell at him. He goes, well, you were with me on Friday. He goes, but I'm finishing the running, though. So I could never get mad at that kid because he did all the running, never complained.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. He knew his limits, and he might have pushed them a couple times, but
Yeah, he could have been a lot better if he didn't do some of the things he did, but as part of being a kid, you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes, shoot, as adults, I'm still learning the hard way.
yes, sir. So, aside from football, coach, what benefits were you looking at, coming out of basketball and track and especially powerlifting being the big thing?
Well, for me, I just wanted kids to compete, so I wanted them to do something for Cotulla because not everyone can play football. So if you didn't play football, I wanted you to do something for Cotulla. And I didn't care what it was. And I love basketball, and I know track is an extension of football. And then the busier you are, the harder it is to get in trouble. So I always wanted my kids to be active. Plus, in a small town, what is there to do? Tell them practice for 2 hours. That girl's still going to be there at 6 o'clock. Or whatever you have to do, still be there at 6. Let's get our work in first.
Yes, sir. So, and you know, you were a huge supporter of every kind of sport. What was the biggest, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like satisfaction seeing, success on not just the boys side, but as well as the girls side being an athletic director.
Well, I tell you what, just when you like this '06 team, when you beat teams you shouldn't be competing with, that's a gratifying feeling because it just shows you how much your kids believe in you and how hard they work. And I think we should be good in every sport. And when I was here, I know we went to playoffs in multiple sports, girls and boys. Like I said, I didn't want to be good just in football. I want to be good in everything. I want Cotulla to be good in everything. I remember I used to tell the kids, I wear Cotulla shirt every day and I'm proud of it. And I want everyone in this town to wear Cotulla shirt everywhere they go and be proud of it. And I want to say from 2002 to 2010, you can see a lot of Cotulla shirts out there.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a lot being made as well.
Oh, yes.
All right, coach. So, we've talked about your past accomplishments and football, and I'd love to know, what you got going on right now in your life.
Well, unfortunately, everyone knows my wife passed away, so life has been pretty rough these last 4 years. But my daughter just had a baby. My grandson is a year and a month old now, so he keeps me on my toes. Honestly, I want to coach him, so I want to try to maybe get back into coaching. But there's only a few places I can coach. Like I could never wear green. I can't be a deadly. There's certain schools I just never coach at.
I like to hear that.
Well, I've always loved Cotulla, and I still love Cotulla.
Yes, sir. And whenever we had the conversation on the phone, I think the funniest thing was you telling me he's a linebacker.
Oh yeah, he got no feet. He headbutts everything, so he's definitely gonna be a linebacker when he grows up.
And you said a month? Or a
It's a
year?
year and a
A
month.
year and a month. A year and a month. All right.
So I got a little time. So I got about 5 years, 10 years to find a job.
Start your preparations already. Game
Oh
the.
yeah, I'm gonna start teaching footwork as soon as he can start walking straight.
I can already see him going through the ladder drills and hurdles and whatnot. Um, Coach, is there anything that you'd like to touch base on or?
I just want to tell all my kids, if you're listening, thank you for making my job so easy. Y'all are great kids to coach. Very proud to call any of y'all my sons. And that's what coaching's all about, is making a better man. And just that's why I get more gratification when I see people like Meme Sanchez has made so much of his life now. He comes back to Cotulla to give back to Cotulla. That's what life's all about, doing the right thing for these kids.
Thank you, Coach, and I appreciate that. And like we've been, we discussed before, we started going live. Was I wasn't, I wanted to go into something else, coming out of high school, but being coached by you, going through your program, being a coach was definitely where I wanted to make my career. And although it didn't get directed that way, the high school or middle school coach, I definitely took the Pee Wee route, and I definitely enjoy that. And I instill all your philosophies as much as I can remember to them.
And coach is a coach no matter what level. And don't feel bad. I was the same way when I went to college. All I wanted to do was make money, make money, make money. But I couldn't affect no kids because I wanted to be a pro football coach. But then when I started coaching high school and I could affect kids' lives, it all changed for me. I said I'd rather do that. It's a more gratifying feeling seeing the kid change.
Yes, sir. So, man, Coach, to go back to the past, you played at Texas, or Southwest Texas, or now known as Texas State. Did you play football there?
Yes, 5 years.
Really? And would you happen to be a part of that national championship team?
No, I came about 4 years after that.
Oh, okay. I was always curious about that.
No, I came in 1986. First 3 years played defense line, last 2 years offense line. I was Coach Franchione's first class.
Franchoni, wow.
Yes, and that's when I found out it's a job in college. He told us one time, "You don't make that block, my family don't eat." So he didn't play. We had 3 days.
Dang, the cold hard truth though about that, it was.
It's a cutthroat world.
Yeah, you don't win, you're gone. We see it today.
And college is a business, and high school still should be fun.
Yeah, I agree. So you want to talk about a little bit of college sports you've been watching lately?
Oh, I watch everything. I ain't got nothing else to do when your life is revolved around TV now because you don't have a wife. That's what I do.
Who do you got? Who do you got going? We have Texas, Georgia.
I think Texas will win.
You think they?
And I want them to win.
They polished all those, I guess, errors that they weren't ready for in the first game.
Well, I think what killed them the first game is they blitzed yours, but they'll be ready for it this time. They kind of shook him up. I think he'll be ready for it this time.
And what do you think about Penn State, Oregon? You think Penn State's a real team?
I don't think the Big Ten is that good other than Oregon. Oregon's too fast for them, I think.
That's what watching the little previews today. That was the speed kills.
Well, one thing is the coach will always say you can't coach speed, you can't coach size. Two things you just can't coach.
And so now on the topic of size, back then, you looked for those kids above 6 foot. Now you're seeing the little slot receiver being like the Wes Welker, the Julian Edelmans.
Well, I hate to say that, Cotulla. That's all I had was Wes Welker. But I tell you what, you can't measure a man's heart though. So always tell him no matter the size and what his heart is made of.
Yes, sir.
I still remember one kid named. You remember Randy Garcia? This is called Boucher.
Oh yeah, yes, sir.
I still remember. I never wanted to play him because he was so small. He was only like 5'2", about 120 pounds, soaking wet. And I remember telling the coaches, he can't protect himself. So we put him in a scrimmage, 5 plays, he made 4 tackles. So next scrimmage, I put him in 12 plays, he made like 7 tackles. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna have to talk to him. Like what? I said, I'm gonna have to teach him how to protect himself because he just makes plays. So I can't keep him off the field.
I'm kind of curious to see what his total tackles were, by the time he was done with high school. He was.
Yeah, I still have all that on the deal, but no, he was probably like the third leading tackler on our team because Juan Rios definitely led us in tackles.
From the safety position.
Yes, from safety.
Yeah, no, that was always a treat to watch. And I'll ask you, on here, had Cotulla moved to 2A a lot sooner, do you think you would have had a couple more runs?
Definitely. I think we had a chance. I want to say Carlos Chipper Miranda's sophomore year, we missed it by 3 kids being 2A. And if we would have got there that year, his junior and senior year, we definitely would have made a run. And that led into the 2006 team, so it would just continued. I think we would have made semifinals maybe 3 years in a row.
And do you think that would have, I guess gaining that experience, do you think it would have, had a better, more positive effect, I guess, on the
it definitely helped GR's class out because the team we played 2 years in a row was Ingleside. We had 26 kids. They had like 58 kids. Halftime we were ahead, and they 28-21 both games. And they ended up being this 42-21. They just wore us out. They had too many kids. So I said when we move down, it ain't going to be easier. It's going to be even. And I'll take even any day.
Yes, sir. And it wasn't just with Ingleside. I mean, I remember going to the Hondo Divine.
Every team we played,
every
had more
team was
kids.
just massive on the sideline.
What's so funny, the coaches always joke when the play was over, they'd have 8 kids run off the field. I had 8 kids running to go play defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's Iron Man football. It's the word that me and Mr. Hilge would use.
That's
Just
crazy.
for your
That
talk.
06 team, I think I had 8 kids that were first team all district both ways.
Yeah, and you had couple all region
Oh yes,
kids. Did we have any all state? No.
I didn't do a good job of politicking for that. If we'd have made one more game, I think we could have got at least one or GR or something.
Yeah, and the Tatum team that we played, said it would have been ours to have.
Well, what people don't realize, Tatum was the defending 3A state champions in football and track and got moved to 2A. And I remember telling their coach, Andy Evans, you need to go back and defend 3A. They had at least 10 Division I kids, 2 kids that played pro football. Best kid we had played at Trinity. And he's very proud of him because he did a great job there. But it's just, when you have Division I kids, they had 4 or 5-star kids. I had 3-star kids that just had a lot of heart.
Yes, sir. The dogs. They have the dog in them.
Well, I tell you what, they definitely believe, because I still remember after that game, I had 7 kids that didn't want to get dressed, couldn't believe we lost. I'm like, man, they really thought we were going to win that game. So I must have did something right, because looking at film, I mean, I thought we had a chance to win, but as soon as they were fast.
They were extremely fast. But I mean, even that Hearn team was, they had that one receiver, right? I don't think I remember
The 6'6" receiver.
That kid was
They were
lightning
good
with
too,
his
but they
feet.
just weren't as well coached as the Tatum team. That's what killed us. We outcoached Hearn, which was good. And y'all just played harder than they did. And I'll be honest, if we'd have tightened up our formation against Tatum, we might have played them a little better. Because second half, I think the score was it was 20-6 was the second half.
Yeah.
So, and we should have got an onside kick. But that's another story. But I know we could play with them because my kids believe they could. I always tell the coaches, not what the kids can do, it's what they believe they can do. And those kids believe they were good, and they were.
Yes, sir. And it's crazy to hear the stories. The fact that we can talk about we saw a pro athlete. We actually saw RG3 the game before,
Yeah.
which was also pretty crazy playing over there in Waco. But
Oh yeah,
Just
Thomas Cole, that's right. They
yeah.
were playing for us.
yeah, to say that we witnessed or played that an NFL player was definitely something that's not very talked about in Cotulla.
Yes, and I love that team, and everyone thinks, and I love GR. Everyone thinks he was my best player. He was my best offensive player, but I got to give kudos to a kid named Juan Rios. He's a kid that didn't even want to play football. I convinced him to play football his sophomore year. First scrimmage, he breaks his elbow. I thought he's never going to play again. He ends up playing his junior year and being the best player probably the junior and senior year. He didn't even want to play. But I tell you what, him and Frank used to drive me crazy when we used to do our films. I never thought they were paying attention, but they were. They would get their reads and then start jacking around with each other because they always made plays in the game. And to Frank's kids, he was a stud.
I was about to say, let's settle the score right now. We got Coach Booker here.
He was a stud. There was no doubt. But all my kids were good. I still remember Ricky Garcia, boy, defensive end tight end, probably best tight end. Well, Juice was good. I had a lot of good tight ends. I can't even make all Cotulla team because every year I had great kids. I mean, all my kids were good in their own ways. I mean, I just had very talented teams every year.
Yeah, and that was just also a product of your program as well.
I think it's a product of Cotulla. Cotulla's a lot better than people think. A lot of people better than Cotulla think sometimes.
The water, it's definitely the water.
The brown water never hurts.
Tastes good too. All right, Coach. Well, it's definitely been an honor to have you on this podcast, and I appreciate you, making the drive from San Antonio. Your impact on Cotulla football, lives on in our players, and it's always undeniable. It's been incredible to hear from you the story, the incredible 06 run that's still talked about 18 years later. And it's always just the topic of a lot of first conversations, especially whenever I grab those groups. I'm like, Cotulla had a team that was one game away from state, and it's possible, but it starts.
And let me say one more thing about that team. I always tell everybody it's the most thing I'm most proud of. I'm the only person on that team that wasn't born and bred from Cotulla, so don't tell me Cotulla can't do it. Everyone on that team, coaches and players, were all born and bred Cotulla except for me.
Wow, yeah, I definitely didn't realize that.
Well, it's something to be proud of. Something they can never take away from you, ever.
Yeah, no, for sure, Coach. So I know we can't see, have a big old screen in front of us, but so I get comments that are thrown in. I'll just read a couple to you. First one, my mom was always going to be my biggest supporter. She said, "Great to see you again, Coach Booker."
Oh, it's good seeing you too. My son wanted to see you. Really, he always talks about you.
My dad was the next one. Always another, huge supporter. Just thank Coach Booker for coming over the podcast.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad y'all moved back from Laredo because, man, it definitely helped us.
Let's see. We got J.J. Maldonado. He was a freshman back in 2006. Edward Leal.
Oh, Edward. Yeah, he was part of that one class I thought was part of my most talented class. My second year here had 17 seniors.
Wow.
I wasn't here long enough to instill what I wanted to teach them. I think a couple of them came about 3 years after they graduated. They finally figured out what I was talking about, things I was trying to teach. But they had some talent on that team. Isaac Saldivar, Edward was on that team. He was talented. Marcelo Gonzalez, Ellie Gonzalez, Tommy Jordan was a little crazy, but he could play football.
My mom says another one, another great interview in the books. And we actually have another one. Deborah De Leon. What does Coach Booker think about the current season and players?
I love seeing them play. When I was here, I wanted to make it to this year because I always thought this was a year they could make their run. And I still believe they could have. They've just been a little bit more disciplined.
Yes, sir. So for sure. So we actually have Mr. Travis here. Made the journey with you.
I'm scared about what he might say, though.
No, you're good. So once again, Coach, I really appreciate you taking this time. And I know I'm not the only one that's been wanting to hear from you. There's been several people from Cotulla. And, I'm just glad it's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to go back and, start jotting down my notes in my notebook.
Well, just so you know, I never wanted to leave Cotulla, but when I was here last, and this is a totally off the field, but I just have to tell you why I had to leave. I had a superintendent that was writing me up for bringing my disabled son to work with me on Saturdays. So I don't know what it is, but him and someone had it in for me, and they were starting to dock my pay. Because when I had the stroke, they told me don't worry about coming in, and then all of a sudden I didn't have no sick days left, and they're like, well, that's your fault. So they weren't working with me. So I had to make a choice, take care of my son or take care of Cotulla kids. And I always preach family first. And Cotulla is my family. I had to take care of my son first. But I definitely regret that because this team this year could have been really, really good.
We always appreciate everything that you did for us, Coach.
Oh, I love Cotulla. I'll come back here any day. I love this town.
Awesome. Yeah. So, just to reiterate, the huge thank you, that coming from me, as a player, as an ex-player, as a man, a lot of the things, and you would tell us, you might not understand things now, but you will later. And believe it or not, you're always a little voice in my head a lot of the time telling, I hear the stories, and sometimes I hear the ringing of your ring hitting the helmet.
That's good. It's funny because they always said, I've never had a lot of rules. My main rule is just do right. And the kids always look at me crazy like, what do you mean do right? I said, if you do something wrong, you have something in your stomach's telling you it's wrong. So when you do something right, it's right. So it's real easy to do right. And I just like that. I ain't gonna lie, man, just hearing you say that makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I did my job coaching.
Yes, sir. No, you definitely did. And, I got to give a shout out to your apparel. I know that 2006 shirt, I still got it in the closet.
It's the only shirt I still got from 2006. Very proud of it.
Even the turtleneck. I remember those turtlenecks too.
White turtleneck. Yeah, I'm sure Frank has about 15 at his house. But you know what? I never cared because y'all worked hard. I didn't care. Y'all can have all that stuff. You deserved it.
Yeah, mine's somewhere in there. Actually, I think I still have the jersey as well.
Don't say that out loud.
No, we bought it. We bought it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, don't tell me that.
Yeah. No, I had to buy it from.
Matter of fact, I'm still looking for a jersey from Alex Garcia. 2 years ago, your jersey. You still didn't turn it in.
You're busted, dude. You're busted.
I'll never forget.
Oh, look, Nina says just a few. Frank has just a few.
That's all right. He earned every one of those.
And we actually have Christina Yanis. My brother was blessed to have you as a coach. You always had his back and kept him in line.
Oh, I love all my kids, and I try to treat them all the same. What I used to tell them, I'm like their father. One thing, I'm an asshole, but I'm a fair asshole.
And Henry Velasquez, you remember Henry?
Big Henry, yes, my
Yeah,
manager.
that he was a good coach.
I appreciate you, Henry. He was a great manager. He loved having that control, though.
Oh yeah, hey,
Kind of took it to his head sometimes.
he had his little helpers in line, that's for sure.
Yes, but he was always very reliable.
Yes, sir. That was that. Yeah, I remember him for many years. I still see him around. So before we go, I want to take a moment to thank our incredible sponsors uh, who make Beyond the Game, Cotulla Backroads and Ball Games possible. South Texas Live, always bringing the best in the music entertainment and hosting unforgettable events. Uh, within our community. LaSalle County Steakhouse, the only steakhouse in town serving up Cotulla's favorite dishes and unmatched hospitality. Ace Hardware, shout out to Kayla and Emily, our loyal local hardware store and feed and grain warehouse, always supporting Cotulla's needs. Dirt Road Designs, your go-to design company for everything from small stickers to large banners and everything in between. Stockman's National Bank, Cotulla's trusted local bank and the only bank in town serving the community with pride. Fitness 4, Ray Anthony Garcia.
Oh yes, Ray Anthony.
Yes, sir.
He played for me too. Him and the two, and Ray Vic and Roberto was on the 16.
Yeah, they both were. Yeah, it's our local gym, keeping Cotulla fit, offering 24-hour access memberships for your convenience. And so we're grateful for your support and helping us share stories like this, like Coach Booker's, and celebrating the people's events that make Cotulla special. To all our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode. We'll see you next time as we continue to highlight the heart of our community. And until then, take care.
Appreciate you having me. I'll come back anytime you want.
I'll take you up on that, Coach. That's for sure.
Anytime. I love it. I love coming back.
That's for sure. We're gonna keep that in mind, man. So I hope you're ready for the next one.
I'm ready all the time. I love it here.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Oh, I appreciate all y'all.